this lesson, we are going to learn about divisibility and the divisibility rules. So our learning target is I can determine if a number is divisible by another number by using the divisibility rules. So let's define divisible. Divisible is a whole number that is able to be divided into another number evenly with no remainder. So for example, 14 is divisible by 2 because when I take 14 divided by 2, I get a whole number, 7, with no remainders. 24 is divisible by 3 because when I take 24 divided by 3, I get a whole number, 8, with no remainders. So the key is that when you take a number and divide it, you get two whole numbers. There are no remainders. So what is this divisible idea useful for? Well, we have something called the divisibility rules, and it's just a way for us to look at a number and know if we can divide a number into it and we'll get an even number with no remainders. So for example, if I look at the number 32 and I want to know if that number is divisible by 2, in other words, I can divide 32 by 2. Will I get a whole number with no remainders or not? And we use these things called divisibility rules, and all the divisibility rules here are listed. So a number is divisible by 2 if the last digit is even. Well, in this example, the last digit is even. It's a 2. It's an even number. So I know that 32 can be divided by 2 evenly without any remainders. So now I want to ask myself, is 32 divisible by 3? Well, a number is divisible by 3 if the sum of the digits is divisible by 3. So let's add up the digits. 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 is not divisible by 3, so I just look at that number automatically and know that 32 is not divisible by 3. We are not going to do number 4. We're not going to ask ourselves and learn the rule for if a number is divisible by 4. Let's look at this number and see if it is divisible by 5. A number is divisible by 5 if the last digit is a 5 or a 0. And clearly, this last digit here is a 2. It's not a 5 or 0. So 32 is not divisible by 5. What about the number 6? Is 32 divisible by 6? Well, a number is divisible by 6 if the number is divisible by both 2 and 3. Well, we can see here that it is divisible by 2, but it's not divisible by 3. So 32 is not divisible by 6. So that won't work. We are not going to learn the divisibility rules for 7, so you can skip that one, and we're not going to learn the divisibility rules for 8. So let's see if 32 is divisible by 9. Well, a number is divisible by 9 if the sum of all the digits is divisible by 9. So we did that before where we added up the sum of the digits and it comes out to 5. 5 is not divisible by 9. 9 times something does not give me 5. So I know that 9 is not one of the factors of 32. And then finally, a number is divisible by 10 if the number ends in 0. Well, we already did that. We already looked. The number does not end in 0. It ends in a 2. So this number is not divisible by 10. So divisibility rules come in handy, not for little numbers like 32. I probably know my math facts well enough to know that 5 is not a factor of 32, so 32 is not divisible by 5. But what about these bigger numbers that like we have here, 35,145? And I want to know if a number is divisible by these certain numbers, 2, 3, 5, 6, 9, and 10. It's very handy to use the divisibility rules on really big numbers, like this number here we have. So let's go through these rules. So a number is divisible by 2 if the last digit is even. Well, is the last digit here even? It's not. It's a 5. It's an odd number. So 35,145 is not divisible by 2. What about 3? Look at our rule. A number is divisible by 3 if the sum of the digits is divisible by 3. Well, we have to add up the sum of the digits. So 3 plus 5 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 plus 4 is 13. And 13 plus 5 equals 18. If I still am not sure about 18, is 18 divisible by 3? Does it come out evenly? Well, sure it does. But I can also go a step further and I can add 1 plus 8, which gets 9. And is 9 divisible by 3? Can I divide 9 by 3 evenly without a remainder? And the answer is yes, I can. It's 3. It gives me a whole number with no remainder. So 35,145 is divisible by the number 3. I can do the long division, divide that number, and I know it'll come out evenly. So let's look at the number 5. A number is divisible by 5 if the last digit is a 5 or a 0. And in this case, the last digit is a 5, so I know that 5 is a factor of 35,145. When I divide 35,145 by 5, it comes out evenly. How about 6? A number is divisible by 6 if the number is divisible by both 2 and 3. And in this case, our number was not divisible by 2 because it's an odd number, so that automatically eliminates 6. 6 is not a factor of 35,145 where it comes out evenly. What about 9? The number is divisible by 9 if the sum of all the digits is divisible by 9. Well, is 18, we added all the digits up before, 18 divided by 9, does it come out evenly? Is it divisible by 9? Well, absolutely. It comes out evenly. There will be no remainders. 18 divided by 9 is 2. So 35,145 is divisible by 9. And finally, a number is divisible by 10 if the number ends in 0. Well, this number does not end in 0, so this number, 35,145, is not divisible by 10. Okay, gang, now it's your turn. For your two problems at the bottom of your WISC form, the first problem, you're going to write 44,220, and you're just going to write the numbers 2, 3, 5, 6, 9, and 10. And if 44,220 is divisible by 2, you're going to circle it. Now in your mind, make sure you can tell me why by the rules. In other words, 44,220 is divisible by 2 because it ends in a 0, and 0 is an even number. And that's how I can determine the divisibility rules. So do that for 3, 5, 6, 9, and 10. Make sure you can explain it. You don't have to explain it on your form, but explain it in your mind. Make sure you can do that for me. The second problem that you're going to do is 453. So do the same thing. Write the number 2, 3, 5, 6, 9, and 10, and circle those numbers that you think are divisible. Have fun. See you later.